we're going to start. It is now 6:09, so we're going to do the roll call and get the meeting started.
Honorable Eric Adams, Candace Julian, Honorable Jeffrey Aubrey, excused. Gloria Benfield, present. Honorable Gail Brewer, Jessica Mays, excused. Monty Castaneda, excused. Honorable Bill de Blasio, Jacqueline De Leon, excused. Melissa De Valle Ortiz, Honorable Ruben Diaz Jr., Monica May excused. Thomas Dow, excused. Karen Easton, present. Jack Urgels, excused. Honorable Eugene Matthew,
We're on the way to the
Honorable Jalissa Ferraris, excused. Helen Vorman Hines, Honorable Tessa Hackett Verdier,
I'm here, but I'm not an honorable.
Helene Hotman Konoski,
She's here.
Honorable Letitia James, Michelle Kemp,
Here.
Anthony Jones, excused. Honorable Melinda Katz, Susan Tenenbaum, Honorable Andy King, Aisha Hernandez, Honorable Melissa Mark Verito, here,
Say, just, you have to say your name.
Jessica Ackerman. Model Sporting Goods, Gregory Hammer.
Here.
Morris Heights Health Center, Lillian Dunkley. Renissa Credit Union, MCU, Joseph Gordialdo.
Here.
Neighborhood Housing Services of Staten Island,
Yes,
Joseph
yeah.
Pierre. Honorable James Odo, excused. Dr. Mahendra Patel.
Here.
Honorable Bill Perkins, Todd Buren.
Present.
Tamika Robinson.
Yes.
Christian Rodriguez, excused. Honorable Deborah Rose, Stephanie Lyon. Okay. Delia Soto. Here. Honorable Scott Stringer, Marilyn Mosley. St. Francis College, Robert Olivia. Maria Tavares. UJA Federation of Jewish Philanthropy, New York City, Tasha Kassler. Hillary Stockham, excused. United Neighborhood Houses, UNH, Andrea Bowen.
Here.
UPS, Laura James. Carrie Francis. Peter Weiss.
Yeah.
Vera Williams, excused. Bernice Johnson Williams.
Here.
You got one.
We have quorum.
Okay, good. Good evening, everyone. Happy New Year. Good to see everyone. Hope all had enjoyable holiday season and hope the new year is starting off right. We're going to move along with the meeting to cover a few items here. First off, the minutes from the last meeting. You all received in an email and it's in your packet. So if there aren't any questions, I will entertain now a motion to accept the minutes. Before I do that, in the absence of the stenographer today, it's probably gonna be a little tough to kind of pass around the mic, but speak as loud as you can. I believe this camera can pick it up, but we may have to pass the mic around a bit, so please just state your name. If you have any remarks or make a motion or second a motion, please state your name for the record so that we can get that on camera.
Gagliardo, motion to accept the minutes.
It's been motioned,
Second.
it's been properly second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those abstaining, opposed, there being none, the ayes have it, so moved. Second been made by Joseph Pierre. Thank you for that. All right, so as far as board correspondence, Michelle Kim is here representing Letitia James's office. DYCD did receive an email to acknowledge that she would be representing Letitia James' office today. Michelle Kim, where are you? Hi, okay, thank you, we appreciate you coming. So I want to entertain a motion to recognize Michelle Kim representing Letitia James' office today.
So moved.
Okay, it's been moved by Joseph
Yeah.
Pierre,
And second.
properly second by Gloria Benfield. All in favor, say aye. Those opposed, abstaining, there being none, the ayes have it, so moved. Mike's not working too well. Hello? Okay. All right, so another bit of board correspondence. For those who've been on the board for some time now, you all know Vera Williams, who serves faithfully on this board. We've been informed that she is dealing with a very serious illness at this time. She's been hospitalized. She's had some surgery, so we want to keep her and her family in our prayers. There's going to be some cards circulated. I think it'd be very nice that we all sign it and send it to her, just to let her know that the board is thinking of her at this time, and if she needs anything in terms of support from us, she knows that we're there. So those cards will be circulating, and at some point today, appreciate if you can sign that and we can send that over. And as we get updates on her health situation, we'll certainly let the board know. Community representatives that are present today, you should have received a letter to inform you of your term on the board. We've tried to clean this up. We know in the past there's been some confusion in terms of board members and term limits and when their term is up and when to vote them back in, if they're eligible to continue serving on the board. So you should have received that. If you haven't received that, please let Anita here know. We'll make sure that you get that. Everyone here should be well aware and informed of when their term is up, the length of their term, and so forth. And if you don't know that information, we want to make sure you get that information so you know. Also, in the lobby, as you walked in, you should have been given a conflict of interest form. We all know this is not new. It's a form we fill out on a daily basis. It's required. So if you haven't filled that out, please make sure that that's completed. See Anita or anyone from the DYCD staff to make sure that's completed. Next up, we're going to ask Artis to come up, who's going to give us our financial report. Okay.
Hi, good evening. My name is Artis Sadlogan. I'm the Senior Director for DYCD's Bureau of Budget and Finance, and I'm going to give a brief financial report on CSBG funding. You've all received the report in your package. If it would be helpful if... Sure.
I'm sorry to interrupt.
No problem.
I'm
It
going
will
to
be-
try and get it.
Oh, that would be helpful. That's great.
It should be right below your agendas.
So we're trying to pull it up on the screen, is that?
Yeah.
Okay, so if you give us a moment, if you remember the last meeting to kind of follow through a little bit easier, project the financials on the screen as well as in your packet. So just give us a minute so we can get that. displayed for you.
Okay. Great. Okay. For city fiscal year 16, we have a budget of $33.1 million, as you can see in column C. We have proportioned this funding into three main categories: program contracts, audit contractual services, and personnel services. About 80% of the award is spent in the program contracts area, and as you can see, there's about 7 or 8 different categories of programs. We have the Neighborhood Development Group, Immigration Refugee Assistance. Some of our immigration funds are now going to HRA for them to provide immigration services. We have the Adult Literacy, NICALI program, Fatherhood, Adolescent Literacy, and SYEP. We've allocated $26.4 million for our program contracts, and as I said, that represents 80% of the total award. Year-to-date spending, and this is really through December because as of the 10th of 1 month, we're looking at spending from the prior months. We've spent, or our providers have claimed expenses of $8.4 million. That's about 33% of the $26.4 million. Ideally, at this time of the year, we're looking at about in the 45% spending range. But historically, our providers are very slow in submitting expenses early in the year. Come January, February, and March, we receive a lot larger invoices and more regular invoices. So I wouldn't be alarmed that we've only received invoices for 31% at this point. We fully expect that the CSBG portfolio will spend in the usual range of 98%. We've made payments of $11 million, and the reason that $11 million is higher than the 8.4 is because if anybody here has worked with providers, as you know, DYCD gives an advance at the start of the fiscal year so that they can ramp up their programs without having to wait for an invoice to be submitted. So that's why we've paid more than we've received expenses for. And that represents about 42% of the program contracts budget. Other contractual services, these areas like technical assistance contracts, fiscal field reviews, stipend and travel, etc. We're looking at about a 14% spending rate at this point. Again, I would advise that you not be alarmed at this low spending rate. It's quite common for these areas to have a very low rate at this point, and as I said, we'll ramp up towards the end of the year. The personal services budget, that's for DYCD staff that are paid with CSBG funding, and we're about 50% there. The last time the CAB meeting, you had a CAB meeting, we provided some comparison between the data now and the data then. For the November 12th meeting, we had expenditures of $6.7 million, and now that's an increase of about 10% from the last meeting. Other contractual services, we were in the $186,000 range. That hasn't moved a great deal, but like I said, we don't expect that this will be a problem. Okay, I think that about wraps up the presentation. If you guys have any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Any questions on the quarterly financial report? No? Sorry, was there a question? Okay, great. Thank you, Artis. So if there are no questions, I entertain a motion to accept the quarterly financial report.
Can we have a motion to accept?
Been motioned by Joe G.
Second by Bernice.
It's been properly second. Vera Williams, I'm sorry, by
Bernice.
Bernice Williams. Sorry about that. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Abstain? Those opposed? There being none, ayes have it, so moved. Thank you for that presentation. Before we move on, I want to acknowledge David Suarez, who is here, sitting in now as an alternate for Councilman Member Eugene's office. David, we welcome you to the meeting here. We appreciate your presence here. Any comments or anything you want to say to address the board at all?
No, actually, just a pleasure to be here this evening, and thank you very much for welcoming me. It's really nice to be here with everybody tonight, so thank you so much.
Yeah, again, as Mr. Hambrick said, David Suarez, I'm the Chief of Staff to Councilmember Matthew Eugene, so thank you for your welcoming comments, and it's a pleasure to be here this evening. And again, thank you so very much.
We appreciate it. And before we pass the mic off, Michelle Kim, I didn't give you an opportunity to address the board, so do you have anything you want to say to the board members here?
Hi, Michelle Kim from the Office of the Public Advocate. Just thank you for having me here today.
Thank you. So I entertain a motion to recognize David Suarez, representative of Matthew Eugene's councilman's office. It's been properly moved.
Second.
Just state your name for the record.
So move, Karen Eason.
It's been
Second, Gloria Benton.
properly seconded by Gloria Benfield. This mic is much better. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Those abstained? There being none, I have it. So moved. Next up, I'm going to ask the Commissioner, Deputy Commissioner, to come up with her report.
Happy New Year. It went fast, right? Really quick. So around here, I don't know about you, but around here, the New Year starts really quick, really fast, and we get it going. So today, I just want to tell you some of the things that have happened and that are going to happen in the next few months. First, I wanted to give you a report about how involved this group has been, the CAB, and because there's a part of the report that we have to give to the state. So we give them numbers, hours of service. I wanted to let you know that your efforts have come to 242 volunteer hours of service, and the NAB members have given 1,254 hours of service. You don't deserve a hand for that? Yes, you do. We thank you so much. These numbers really prove your commitment and your energy to the work that we're doing here and to the commitment to those community-based organizations. We hope, but our work is not over. Actually, it's just starting again. So we hope that you will continue to give of yourself and your communities, because we need you. We can't do this work without you. I also want to talk about the NDA contracts. You might remember that the last time we reported that there were some issues with some of the NDA contracts because some of the areas didn't have any programming. So we've been successful in dealing with that problem, and all but one area hasn't been dealt with yet, but I understand that we're right in the process of making that happen with a particular community-based organization. So that's all cleared up. Now, I know this is your favorite subject, sir. We're going to Albany again. Look at him, I didn't want to get you started, all right. Anyway, so in your packet, there's a flyer that tells you all about the trip to Albany, which will be on May 8th this year. March 8th, I'm sorry, March 8th. May 8th is somebody's birthday that I know. March 8th, and so you need to talk, I guess?
You know what, stop looking for it because it's not there.
Okay, don't look for it, it's not there.
We'll send it to you.
Yeah, so, but you do have to talk to who, Joe, for them to, for availability, to Anita?
That'd be great.
Okay, great. All right. The next thing is that this is a big deal for DYCD. You know, our SYEP program is huge, and our Ladders for Leaders program is huge. This year, we started to organize all of that work earlier so that organizations could get on board on, you know, both on the Ladders for Leaders side and the SYEP side. So what I want to let you know is that those applications are going to come out soon. And to tell you more about that later on, Daphne Montanez is going to, from Workforce, is going to tell you more about the details of that and how you do it and how you get involved. We really are very, very appreciative of the CAB members who have already stepped up to do this piece of work. And actually, this presentation was requested by the executive committee and the strategic partnerships. But she'll tell you more about that. The NAB meet and greets are continuing to be well received in the communities, and of course, we continue to recruit members. Now, this is so important because we can't have empty seats. We can't have empty seats. Empty seats mean that then the work, somehow a part of the work isn't done. So what we need for you to do is find people, you know, figure out how you can help in getting these seats filled. Because, people can't vote if they don't have, there's a whole bunch of things that happen when you don't have the whole board there. Is the document in the packet for this? No? Okay. All right. You'll get that, they'll get that later? Okay. All right.
The application, you mean?
No, not the application, but he was gonna give a chart with all the vacancies.
Oh, that's on the web, is that the?
No, I'm gonna give you one, it's gonna have it by it highlighted and all this kind of thing.
So that information is all the-
You can find it on the website, but you have to poke around. I'm gonna give it to you all in one piece.
Okay. So the next thing is that we are, you know that we just got those contracts off and they've been out for about 6 months, and all those contracts are doing really well at this point. But because we want this year to really look at continuity between the last batch of contracts and the new ones, we're gonna start working and doing focus groups and talking with you and your different groups really early. We used to wait, we're not waiting, because that means that we lose momentum. And so this year, we decided we're gonna keep it going. These people are on fire already. Don't let the fire go out. So we'll be getting in touch with you about focus groups and all kinds of activities that you're gonna do in your neighborhoods, in your communities, so that we can keep this going. Finally, as I mentioned in the last meeting, DYCD has gone through, my 6 months has been crazy, right? But we've been doing this amazing work of internal reflection, and also we've been, just revising things like program quality, looking at program integration, looking at how we're connected to the community, how can we connect better? All that stuff that we actually had been hungry to discuss. And as a result of that, we have come up with we've developed a new mission statement and a new vision statement. We also have several other things that are going on, but I'm not going to steal Denise's thunder. So the person that I want to come up and make a presentation about all the internal workings that we've done and the revisions and the exciting work is Denise Williams, who is Deputy Commissioner for Planning, you got a long title, Planning, Program Integration, and Evaluation. Welcome, Ms.
Good evening. Thank you for having me. I've actually been with DYCD a little over 10 years now, and it's through a lot of your efforts, and especially the funding of CSBG funding, that I got my first job at DYCD. I was the Assistant Commissioner for Capacity Building, and as some of you may know, it was CSBG funding that initially was solely supporting capacity building. And that's actually a good theme for tonight, is how the work that you all are doing as part of the CAB and the NDA is really beginning to influence the broader agency. So as Sandy said, I've been here about 10 years, so I'm Assistant Commissioner for Capacity Building. Then I had the pleasure of overseeing OST, which is the out-of-school time portfolio. Councilmember Eugene is personally saving us for many years during the PEGs. And then when the commissioner came, he asked me to take on the responsibility of leading program integration at DYCD. So I'm going to start with, we are in our 20th year, and DYCD is made up of 3 agencies, right? 3 agencies. Which 3?
CDA.
Development Agency, Youth, and,
Community Development, Youth Services, and then what? Employment, yes? So we are made up of 3 agencies, and as my commissioner likes to say, while we were located in the same space, we didn't really merge, right? So if you were to ask some of our CBO partners, they would tell you, we have different data systems, right? We have different methods of evaluation. CSBG uses Roma. I don't know what the rest of us use, right? So we have the Roma. You all have a pretty thorough needs assessment process. Community involvement hasn't really affected the rest of the agencies, kind of not how Youth Services does it. SYEP has YEPS as their system. After school has DYCD online. So if you talk to a CBO, they want to shoot all of us, right? Because they have to enter the data 4 or 5 times. I couldn't currently tell you, right? I don't have a master participant tracking system. So if you were to say to me, how many folks who are maybe in the immigrant services portfolio, how many of those young people actually go or attend the Compass After School program? I would say to you, I don't know, right? And that's pretty much what my job is trying, after 20 years, frankly, to make us one. And it's the most exciting work. And while I love Compass, and everybody will tell you I love Compass, one, it was a lot of money, right? About $340 million. Love that. Ask me what my budget is now. 0. I go around borrowing. Sandy, can you get me some software? This one, can you get me some supplies, right? But the good thing about it is I get to work with everyone, and so it's been really exciting. And the whole point of this is to improve our customer service with our community organizations so that we can improve service delivery on the ground, right? And so when you see us write in our RFPs, we want everybody to have linkages and work together. Our commissioners figured out we don't do that internally, yes? So we're working on ourselves. And one of the things I'm most excited about, and he's not here, we have a new Chief Information Officer who is like me, on fire for redoing all of these internal systems so we can be more reflective. So as Sandy says to you, you all are going to go now into focus groups, right? So CBO say to me, DYCD is really great at launching things, not so great at asking how it's going. Right? So I'm very excited that Sandy is moving you all in from funding the programs through NDA to meeting with the communities to say, how is it going, right? How can we market it better? How can we make it more seamless? And so just wanted to say that I'm hopeful this is not my first or my last time speaking in front of you all, but I'm here to talk about the mission. So I'm working on 3 things. One, you may have heard the commissioner say he wants DYCD to focus or be the settlement house for New York City, right? Basically, what that means is for us to work together more seamlessly, so that people in the community can enter a program that DYCD funds and get connected to another program seamlessly. So if you're in immigrant services and you're working on your paperwork, why wouldn't we be marketing to you these free quality after-school programs while you're sitting there getting your services, right? Why wouldn't we do that? Or if you come through after school and you're picking up your kid, why wouldn't we be marketing summer youth employment to the teenager who's really picking up his younger brother or sister? Kind of doesn't work that way. And so that's what the settlement house piece refers to. It also refers to reciprocity, which basically means everybody in the system has something to contribute to making us function better. You all are the model for that, right? The community is the model for that. So we are really looking to take this and make it DYCD-wide in terms of influencing everything that we've done. The big point of today's conversation is I'm here to present the mission statement to you. Been a bunch of work. I guess we had a bunch of people on the team. We, among other things, looked at the mission statements of other city agencies, of quality organizations around the country. We really started with a presentation by Mike and Sandy at our senior management team about the key elements of a mission statement, which you know is who are we serving, meaning population served, what kind of services are we offering, what's our relationship to community, are we just funding, are we investing, are we partnering, right? And what kind of results are we going for? Anybody recognize this? It's the current mission statement. Sandy said she's only been here a few months. I don't know how many months, it was March. It was my very first interaction with her. She said, come to this retreat. She's convening everybody from CSBG. And they just took apart the mission statement, right? Among other things, which is very true, they said, we don't see ourselves here, right? Because while DYCD has a lot of youth funding, the beauty about the community development side of the agency is we serve all ages, right? Not really reflected in how we talk about it, right? In fact, I have a story, one of my colleagues recounted, someone was sent upstairs to us, and she was looking for help with housing, right? And my colleague said, we don't do housing at DYCD, right? You all know that not to be true, right? We fund housing programs. She's been at DYCD about 6 years, did not know that we fund housing programs. Again, that's within DYCD. So that we took the feedback from the team. We looked at others' missions, and this is the work. I don't want to go through it, but suffice it to say, we were meeting since July of last year, and it was chaired by myself, Sandy, and the chief communications person. In December, we surveyed all the staff and said, here are some options for the mission statement, and vote for one, right? So they could give us their feedback. And then we presented that, the results to the senior management team in January. And then after that, we met with our new deputy mayor. He's not so new, but he is now our leadership person. Everybody know who that is?
No.
Anybody? You can't say. You can't say.
Who is it?
Richard Bury.
There you go. Richard Bury, who was deputy mayor for strategic policy initiatives and was in charge of UPK and the after school that became Sonic that we worked on. So when they replaced Lillian, who was the deputy mayor and had like 30 agencies under her, because if you ever met her, she's amazing. Amazing. So they pretty much divided her portfolio with Rich Bury taking some, including us. And I forgot the new person's name, who's taking health and homelessness and things like that. So she has homelessness in her portfolio. Everybody's focused on that. So that will be her primary focus. The good thing about us having Rich Bury, he comes from Children's Aid, groundwork, and I mentor, which means he knows youth programming very well. So we have a friend in him. We presented it to him, and now you are the next to hear. Our whole staff hasn't even heard the new mission. So here we go. We asked staff, among other things, what words did they like about the mission. You can see, and you should feel good about this, communities, empowering, which is a key CSBG phrase and mantra, investing, strengthening, flourishing. And I have to say, given that it is CSBG money, one of the things Mike drilled into my head was we have to, in some ways, reflect a commitment to addressing poverty. If you look at the former mission statement, the commitment was really based on the fact that we were a community action agency. So we are committed to poverty, because we get money and it's CSBG money. What you'll see now is that it is core to who we are.
Can I just make a point that, if you could go back to that slide, the size of the word is how many times it came up. So every time it came up, that's how often it came up, communities. So this is not a beautiful graphic, which I think it is. I think I want to put it up in my office. But it's communities, that's how often that word came up, and that's why it's the biggest word on that screen.
And that was not just from CSBG staff. This reflects feedback from all of DYCD, which is most interesting because all of DYCD was reflected in the work group. And while I say we are silos, when you got to the core of our values and the commitment and the interest in serving communities, that is where we tie together, even if we are working in different units. So thank you for that. So communities was the biggest, and we didn't give them words to say. We said, this is the mission. Which of these words most resonates with you? So here it is. The New York City Department of Youth and Community Development invests in a network of community-based organizations and programs to alleviate the effects of poverty and to provide opportunities for New Yorkers and communities to flourish. It's the mission. What's important about that is in the past, we would say youth. The mission was very focused on youth. You see it doesn't say youth. We assume that if you can be Department of Youth and Community Development, you would get that youth were part of New Yorkers and communities. The community development aspect is in that. We're not just interested in serving individuals, but in transforming communities. And if we do our jobs well, we hope to improve the quality of life of New Yorkers by partnering with local organizations and investing in the talents and assets of our communities to help them develop, grow, and thrive, which goes back to reciprocity. We partner with them because they have talents. It's not us coming to do it for them because they have talents, and we're partnering together to make the change. And then, like all good marketing, you should have a tagline, and that's ours. So I'm gonna stop there to see if you have any questions, comments, anything like that.
Well, the new mission statement is significantly abbreviated. Tessa Hackett-Vera. The new mission statement is significantly abbreviated. Are you confident that it captured everything that that you were trying to convey?
So we were very deliberate. If you looked at the last mission statement, and I can go back, one of the things it did was list programs, right? Like at Beacon Community Centers, Cornerstone. The feedback from the rest of the agency was, why aren't I listed? Right? So you see fatherhood, you don't see NDA. You wouldn't see housing. So the question was, are we going to just do some or do none? So the mission statement very rarely stands alone. It is something, a good mission statement should be something we can all recite, right, very quickly. But then we would have to go into your point, the different areas of work. So the problem with this one, and then I got back universally, that, and it's interesting to be presenting it to you all, that most of the CD pieces weren't in here. Beacon, which is youth services side, Cornerstone, youth services side, out of school time, youth services side, runaway homeless youth services side, You would not know we worked with seniors, that we did housing, a lot of other things. So the point was either we list them all, or we list the ones that have the most money, which frankly, that would be good for CSBG, or we don't do any, and then when we have a fuller brochure, we, delineate. So I appreciate that one. But that was kind of the discussion that went back and forth. And I will tell you that the ones who were listed and we went away, they weren't happy with that either. Because they're getting the shout out, right? The first one is Beacon and Cornerstone, so now we're not doing that at all. So that was interesting. Any other feedback or questions?
I think it's just, it has more punch. It's more
Yes,
powerful.
I do too.
It really is, it's a strong statement.
It's short and sweet and to the point.
Thank you.
I already said it.
Just as the representative from United Neighborhood Houses, which represents 38 settlement houses and community centers.
I didn't even plant you, I forgot this whole settlement house thing.
Yeah, right? I would feel like I wasn't doing my job if I didn't say, this is totally awesome. We want the settlement house model to be perpetuated and promoted, and the thought that this is sort of like baked into what DYCD is saying it does, and does, is just really exciting, so thank you.
And I'll use the opportunity, maybe Sandy will invite me back to this point about the settlement house. We've been spent 6 or 7 months going through the settlement house principles that were in there. What was the name of the report? The Settlement House Way, or?
Settlement, now I'm blanking.
I forgot it, but anyway, so it was like reciprocity, multiple points of entry, I forgot. But anyway, we went through each principle and have been assessing where DYCD is, and we came up with a plan that is very exciting, and I hope to come back in. But since we haven't presented that to the deputy mayor yet, we can't make that more public. But I am proud to say that we presented it to the commissioner and the chief of staff, and he loved it. And he's very supportive of it.
What exactly is the settlement?
Settlement, do you want to say, Central?
Hold
Sure.
on. I want to remind everybody that we're operating on using the camera to later on do stenography. So you have to say your name and then your statements. Thank you.
Andrea Bowen.
Thank you.
The Settlement House is a community-centered organization that provides multiple services for people across the age span. Its local roots are integral to how it functions, so that
That's a principle, embeddedness.
Embeddedness, yes. It's integral to how it functions, so that it knows the community, it knows the people in the community, it knows the needs of the community, and so it can then also flexibly meet the challenges that face the community. And so our settlement houses, we say they offer services from cradle to grave, really. And if you go in for, one thing, you go in for summer youth employment program, Lord knows you might end up continuing to do other workforce development. You might end up going for eviction protection. You might end up, continuing and just using more and more services as life goes on.
So they're located throughout?
Mm-hmm. They're located throughout New York City, and we have some of the oldest ones in the world.
So I'm gonna close with that, but the point is, I don't want anybody to walk away to think we're only gonna fund settlement houses and we don't want everybody to be a settlement house. We're looking at their values and how we can reflect that. So the multiple points of entry for us isn't funding everything at a settlement house, but like you all do, bring community groups together so that each one knows what others are doing. So if a family comes in for one thing and they need something else, and you don't offer that, you know what's in the neighborhood that DYCD funds that you could refer them to. So that's kind of the vision, and I'd love to come back and talk about that.
Melissa de la Ortiz, NAB. I wanted to know if when you were doing this mission and vision statement and all the other planning, did you take into account persons with disabilities at all?
For us, it's very important, you'll see it in a lot of our RFPs, and it's reflected in the conversation about reciprocity and everybody being able to contribute. We set aside money in kind of what we do for high-risk folks or folks who couldn't access services traditional way, so that's embedded in what we do. We didn't call them out, we just left them as New Yorkers. We didn't call them out as, you know, all these people, so I'm just saying.
The reason why I bring it up is because two in every persons with disabilities are not awarded opportunities for work. And that's a huge issue when we, our body of people, are supposed to be, or this body of money, right, overseen by this body of people, is supposed to be helping to lift people out of economic straits. So I want to, you know, that's something, and everybody knows it. If you know me, you know that I've been really pushing hard in making sure that disabled persons are included or somehow not overlooked. So I want to make sure that that's something that we really emphasize, fund, acknowledge, etc. That's all. Joseph has a question.
Well, before you go to that, I just want two things. We haven't gone to the values statement, which is the next piece of work, which I think is integral to what you're saying. And then, you know, you guys are going to hear from Daphne, and Workforce has done a great job at set aside and targeting and funding organizations that do that. So I hear you, and I think that I'm just writing notes to myself to make sure it's part of the core DYCD value proposition.
Yeah, my name is Joseph Pierre. I just wanted to say, from the observation, a lot of critical time has gone into making something seamless. I just want to know what is the target time for implementation across the board so that we move from the old model to this new model. And I hope that this new model now gives us something that we could all be proud about, because I am impressed that you have spent some time doing that body of work. I totally admire it.
Thank you, I appreciate that. So I'm going to separate it into two things. The mission statement, which is supposed to go live fairly soon, which means we're about to meet to finish up the values and then work on a communication strategy. You know, it's kind of a tree falls in the forest and nobody hears it, doesn't make a sound. So we are famous for, we just put it on the website, right? Everybody knows that. So we have to meet to develop a communication strategy. To the settlement house piece, which is frankly, I will say honestly to you all, that is how the commissioner is thinking of his legacy, right? And so this isn't a thing over here that's happening. This is going to be baked into the DNA of DYCD. So after City Hall approves it, we are moving into implementation, and I would hope implementation would include getting feedback from all of you. The commissioner, since you know the settlement house has inspired it, we will be meeting with not just them, but other umbrella organizations where I will have to say we're not just going to fund settlement houses, because that's going to be a problem. We have to work on a lot of the communication stuff, the data piece. I am happy to say we asked for money and we got it. And we are building new systems. We're going to have one system so that we can track everybody, which make folks happy. And we'll be able to give you more reports beyond funding. Like I can come to say to you, in this NDA, this family has gotten this array, maybe not by name, but this number has gotten this array of services. Not just how many were in SYP, how many were in Compass, how many seniors. We're trying to look at serving families holistically. So I will keep coming back in. Once the thing is approved, we'll present it to you, and then Sandy or I can continue to give you updates on where we are in implementation, if that's of interest. Okay? Thank you all. I'm sorry. Okay.
Tessa Hackett-Vera. I echo Joseph Pierre's sentiments about what I see to be DYCD makeover, starting with the mission and vision statements. And every good social worker knows that the poverty movement started with the settlement houses back in the might be the 1600s, but you know, that's facetious. So I also admire the fact if the commissioner sees this as part of his legacy going forward, in my view, it's the right step to take, because poverty and charity started with the settlement house movement, and you know, social work as a profession, which I belong to, came out of that. And so if that's the new model and new thinking, even in the 21st century, 2016, that's definitely a shift away from where it was before, and certainly to be commended. Whether it's your brainchild or the commissioners or whoever, it's certainly to be commended.
So one thing we're going to build on with you all is that needs assessment that you do. We want to do that more broadly and get community impact input, not just the needs assessment, but on implementation and evaluation, and build that out more broadly. So I'm personally excited about that. And Joe's having a fit because I'm taking too much time.
No.
It's not your meeting. It's not yours meeting.
So before we go ahead, I just want to remind everybody that we got started a little late. Don't leave, you have one more question.
Okay.
So if we could move the agenda along.
Hi, my name is Aisha Hernandez. I work for Chief of Staff Councilmember Anna King, and since I heard that we have some money, I was wondering if the summer youth program is going to have more opportunities to have more youth employment opportunities for the youth.
I'm glad you asked. What I said was we had money for the IT systems. The IT system. Right.
She certainly did. She said it was IT.
And why I come from nonprofits, and usually what we do a strategic plan, then we got to go out and fundraise for it, right?
Thank you.
So this is my first time we're doing a plan, and a lot of it is based on new, technology systems, and he's already gone out. So I'm personally excited that we're going to make that happen. You know that usually not how we work, right? Then we got to raise it for the next 2 years. So it's IT, but I'm with you on SYP. All right. Thank you all. I appreciate your time.
Thank you. You need to give you your own meeting next time. That's some exciting stuff. We're so conditioned, right? We get money, we don't care about the adjutant government, we're excited. Just money. Right, that was really exciting, and we appreciate that presentation. We're already at the 7 o'clock hour. We have another presentation, so I'm sure you don't mind if I kind of move this meeting along. I want to touch on 2 things quickly regarding the Deputy Commissioner's report that I think is important. The March 8th Albany trip, there was discussion meetings ago in terms of transportation and the time we have to meet. The trip is in Albany and it's a trip there, so flexibility may be limited, but please look out for that email regarding the trip, and if there's interest there, we want to know about it. We want to make sure that everyone that is interested in going and wants their community represented there has the opportunity to go, and I think it's extremely important, so we want you to look out for that information. We talked about the vacancies. This has been a discussion amongst the executive committee. We're going to be circulating the vacancies on a much more regular basis, so we hope it's not appearing to be redundant if you're going to get emails about the vacancies or updates about it in your paperwork at the meeting, but we want to make sure that everyone knows where those vacancies are so we can continue to focus on making sure they're getting filled. And I think the only way to do that is to understand where they are. This is like Melissa's, one of her pet peeves as well. But I think that's extremely important, so we need you to look out for that. And then lastly, the NAB meet and greets. I think DYCD has been supportive of what we like to see in terms of communicating that. We need to see a list of those meet and greets, so we're going to hopefully get that email to you as well, so you know where it's taking place, the boroughs that it's taking place, and so forth. And I think it's important, again, that we go there, show representation, understand why maybe some of those vacancies are not filled, what information they need to know. Hopefully encourage some of those people at those NABs to attend the CAB meetings so we can hear from them. We really want to strengthen the dialogue there, and I think that'll be extremely important in helping to fill those vacancies. Okay, that's it. So if no other questions, I will entertain a motion now to accept the Deputy Commissioner's report.
So moved.
It's been properly moved by Gloria Benfield.
Second by Tamika Robinson.
Second by Tamika Robinson. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, Abstaining? There being none, the ayes have it, so moved. Aisha Hernandez has already spoken, but I want to publicly acknowledge her presence here at the meeting representing Andy King's office, so we thank you for being here. Appreciate your input. We're going to move quickly into the committee reports. I'm just going to ask the committee members just to really go quickly to top level topics regarding their committee. So we're going to start with Joseph Pierre with the governance committee report.
Yeah, good afternoon to you. I just want to say though, if you look at your report, the first governance meeting that we had just that is in your package, we had 2 people brought to the executive, and these 2 people who have been brought to the executive have now been fully functioning on the executive, and we just want to take note of it. We just want to also note that we have no action item that I know about today for a vote or anything. So seeing that you already had the package, you are quite aware of the movement on the governance committee. We had some rules. We looked at the rules, mechanisms. We also look at what the state had recommended. We also look at the absenteeism rate and how best that we would make some corrections to that. And there is the electoral officers update. So you have had all of those tonight. So it doesn't make sense that we spend much more time on it, but just that you are quite aware in the presentation package that it's there. So I would just like to tender this and have, if there's any questions, then I will take them, and if there's none, I would like to entertain that motion to accept it. Any questions?
Any questions any questions regarding the governance committee report? If not, I will now entertain a motion to accept the report.
So moved.
It's been properly moved.
Second.
Second, Gloria Brenfield. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, abstain, there being none, so moved. Now we're going to move to Melissa and program committee report.
To keep it really short, we discussed DYCD issues with the annual compliance review of organizational standards by Mr. Mike Babbitt. It was, again, a very thorough presentation. And it was a little while ago, so forgive me. And the notes are there in the minutes, but I really want to make a point to stress that we were able to meet our first 16-year-old NAB Board 2 representative, Mr. Ellis Dulchin, who's not here today. He was very well spoken. He is a brilliant young man. I'm looking forward to seeing more youth become involved. And if you don't already have a young member involved on your local NAB, please encourage them. Governance did make a standard to lower the age from 18 to 16. And it's a great way for those youth that did not make it to the community board level to maybe apply to be involved here. And I made an effort to reach out to a local community board in Brooklyn, to the youth committee, and move them to get those youth involved on the local NAB. So again, stressing, filling those vacancies, involving our youth in the local community, yada, yada, yada. It was a great presentation, and thank you.
Thank you, Melissa. Any questions regarding the program committee report? If not, I will entertain a motion to accept the report.
So moved, Joseph Pierre.
Been properly moved. Second, to state your name.
Melissa del Valle Ortiz.
Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, abstaining, there being none, the ayes have it, so moved. And on last report, strategic partnership, I'm going to ask Karen Eason to give her report.
Karen Eason. Okay, so I'm just going to go quickly through the different parts of the report. New business, Mike Bobbitt stopped by to talk about UPS hiring, so I'll leave that there. One of the things we were talking about, which fits in with the Deputy Commissioner's reports, is the summer youth. We're looking to get CAB members more involved in soliciting and getting companies in their local areas to provide summer youth positions and ladder for leaders positions. So we actually asked for some material that CAB members can carry away and provide to the NAB members as well to go out and talk with people in the community. So the details are in the report. I'll leave that there. The legislative breakfast was supposed to have occurred in December. It has been rescheduled, and the date forthcoming sometime in the spring. NAB Youth Contingent update, we have already had, out of the 22 names that were yielded, we've had 4 already become NAB members. It is our goal to have at least 1 to 2 youth involved on the NAB, and for those of us in our respective NAB districts, we can actually fill some of those open spots there. We're also looking to enhance the role of the NAB, where we can actually have them out in the communities, not just with the existing CBOs, but actually they know a lot more of other CBOs that may not be getting DYCD funding. So we actually want them to go out, maybe during a quarterly basis. This will give us more information when it comes time to do our next needs assessment. And we're actually looking at having some type of formal reporting so that when the data comes in, it won't be quite so subjective in nature. We can actually have some objective as well as subjective data coming in. The symposium you've already heard about, that's coming on March 8th. And the January full board meeting speakers, we already have that here, so I'll leave that there. And then the last thing I'd like to really strive for is we have 3 committees: the program, strategic partnership, and governance. And we really would like to see more of the CAB members come out and play a more active role. It spurs ideas. It really helps to make things spread out evenly when we have more ideas coming in and we have more people participating. So this is the pitch to have more participation, Strategic Partnerships Committee, for all of the committee meetings coming forward. So we would just ask that if you can fit it in your schedule, please come out and stop by and lend us some of your talent and ideas. That's it.
Thank you, Karen. So any questions? PA with the mic system is not good today. Any questions on the Strategic Partnerships Committee report? Hopefully you can all hear me. If not, I'll entertain a motion now to accept the report.
I have a question.
Oh, you do have a question? Okay.
Melissa Ortiz, is the mic working there?
No, you don't have to speak up.
Just speak up, all right. So actually, we were looking at the vacancies, and there's a vacancy for, working now. There's a vacancy for the Bronx and Queens chairperson rep. Yeah? Yes. Right, okay. And Aisha Hernandez is interested in helping to fill that
Yeah,
vacancy
I
for
will
Brooklyn, for the
be
Bronx.
assisting in recruiting someone representing that position.
Put that in the minutes.
As soon as possible.
That's all, there you go.
Thank you. Any other questions regarding committee report? So if not, I'll now entertain a motion to accept the report.
So move, Joseph Pierre.
Been moved,
Second, Melissa Ortiz.
been properly seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, abstaining, there being none, so moved. Thank you all for your committee reports. Before we move to our presentation, our last presentation here, I want to acknowledge Harold Miller, special rep from the Mayor's office. Thank you for being present here at the meeting. Is there anything you want to say to address the board today?
No.
Okay. Well, we thank you for your presence here. So for the presentation, the Deputy Commissioner alluded to this in terms of the Summer Youth Employment Program and the Ladders for Leaders Program. And if you remember the presentation that took place, I think it was 2 or 3 meetings ago, the program just continues to be successful. They had their most successful year in 2015. So my good friend Daphne Montanez, I know I've seen her, is here, and she is going to do a presentation on these programs for us now.
Great, thank you, and good evening, everyone. I know we're running a little behind, so I don't want to take up too much time, but I want to thank you all so much. During the past 8 years, my main function here at DYCD was trying to get the attention of private sector companies, foundations to help support SYEP and Ladders for Leaders. And I would beg to have opportunities like this to talk about the program, so it's always great to actually be invited and that there is interest in actually helping us out. So I thank you in advance for your support. I know many of you are very familiar with SYEP, maybe even Ladders for Leaders, but to kind of help make sure that everybody is on the same page, I'm just going to run through really briefly a high-level overview of the programs, and then talk to you a bit about how to engage maybe some companies, your networks, and how to get them connected to SYEP and Ladders for Leaders this year. So, Summer Youth Employment Program, largest internship program nationally. It's been running since 1963, continues to grow year after year, but the goals and the function of the program remains the same. It's really to introduce young people to the world of work and to help them explore opportunities and career interests, as well as earning supplemental income that we know for many of our participants is very important to them and their families. So the program structure, 6 weeks during the summer, early July. This year will kick off the day after July 4th on the 5th. And our participants have the opportunity to work for 25 hours per week as a whole. They receive minimum wage, which this year will be $9 an hour. And our participants are 14 to 24 years of age. So to give you a sense, as Greg alluded, this was the largest summer in 2015. We're really proud of the fact that we were able to serve over 54,000 young people across the city. We received over 131 applications, 131,000 applications, very important distinction. And as you may know, SYEP participants are selected via a lottery process. We also were able to grow our work sites, over 9,000 work sites overall across the city. And with the increase in terms of funding and with the number of participants, we were able to grow our Ladders for Leaders program. We actually doubled it this year to over 1,000 participants from 475 in 2014. And we also doubled the number of vulnerable youth involved in the program as well, from 1,000 in 2014. Last year was also our kickoff of this idea of a private sector campaign. For the past years, we've stayed pretty much at 28% in terms of our total number of work sites. And what we wanted to do was try and see through partnerships, through our own outreach, through social media and a press campaign, could we try to move that needle a little bit? And we were very shy about it. We didn't know really how it would work. And we said, let's set a goal for ourselves for this 1 year and try to come up with 100 to 200 work sites, new private sector work sites. Well, with everyone's help, we actually blew that number out of the water. We actually created over 754 new private sector work sites. That represented an increase of 7%, and we are now at 35%. And our goal is to get our SYEP work sites at about 50% private sector. So hopefully this year we'll get to 40. That's the goal. In addition to actually bringing on new private sector companies, we also want to diversify the types of industries that we have available in terms of career options for our young people. So we expanded in terms of tech and hospitality, as well as healthcare. And we want to continue to do that as well in the coming year. So for a work site or potential work site, what's the benefit for, and this may be helpful to you maybe in your conversations with interested companies. And there are a few that we found over the years and what employers have told us. And firstly, it's really investing in the future workforce. We know that SYEP and investing in young people, it's not only a workforce program for today, but it's also helping in terms of economic development. We have to prepare our young people not only for the world of work, but also for the jobs and industries that will be ahead of us, even jobs that we can't even imagine today. Management opportunities. For many of our work sites, they've used SYEP as a way to get junior staff, giving them some supervisory skills. So that's another opportunity that many of our employers have used, where they take somebody who's new, maybe entry level, and they say, hey, for the next 6 weeks, you're going to manage this group of interns and come up with projects and manage all the logistical tasks throughout the course of the summer. It's also free for an employer to participate. DYCD pays the wages. They just need to really ensure that the young people have the opportunity to work for the number of hours, and they manage their time by completing timesheets. And fresh perspectives. You know, for many of our companies, and we know young people today, they're technologically savvy. They know what's really on trend, and they also just bring such a wealth of enthusiasm. And that's some of the feedback that we get from employers who take a chance on us every year. They're a little leery about working with young people, and they'll come back to us many times and say, you know what, our younger interns were from the SYEP. They brought such a level of energy and enthusiasm to the workplace, and in some cases, even more so than their older college interns in their programs. So we thought that's an amazing benefit to the program and a great compliment. Now, Ladders for Leaders, a different program, and it was really born out of this idea that we've had a number of students in SYEP. They are selected in the lottery maybe multiple times, but they go back to the same work site perhaps within their own communities. They're getting a little older, thinking about college, or already are in college, and they want an opportunity to really explore careers, gain professional internships. And so we created the Ladders for Leaders program back in 2006 to really help bridge the gap between local young people who are talented, motivated, have the tools and skills to compete, and connect them to professional internships here in New York City. And so this structure is a little different. The participants in this program actually have to apply through a selective application process. So not everyone who applies will be accepted into the program. They have to show that they've had previous work experience, have a GPA of 3.0 or more. They also have to complete some essays as well to really explain what their career goals, their interests are, and why they want to be a part of the program. If selected into the program, they then have to complete a 20 to 30 hour pre-employment training with us and review everything from workplace readiness skills, resume writing, interview skills, as well as workplace etiquette, working well with supervisors, communication skills, and then that all prepares them to go out and actually interview with employers. And this is a bit of a different type of model than SYEP, where young people are actually placed. We do some matching based on interest and area with SYEP, but for Ladders, they actually go out and interview with the employers, and the employers have the final say in terms of who they want to bring on board. So it's a bit of a real-world experience for our young people. They have to compete, and these are employer-paid positions, so there's more of a partnership level in terms of commitment from the employers. Again, it's 6 weeks at a minimum, although employers, since they are paying, they can extend the internship. Many of them have actually, about 30% last year, invited their interns to continue on past the summer. And again, I mentioned some of this are Ladders participants. They're either older high school students, juniors and seniors, or college freshmen and sophomores. They're trained through the 30 hours of pre-employment training to be prepared for their interviews and also to be successful during their internship experience. They're super savvy. They are amazing young people in the use of social media and technology. In fact, many of our companies have used our Ladders for Leaders interns to actually help them in social media and to increase their presence. And they're also very diverse. What's wonderful with this program is that, I'll just tell you a story. One of our Ladders for Leaders partners, a small investment bank, they actually carved out 2 Ladders for Leaders slots for us this year within their larger internship program, where they get students from Ivy League colleges throughout the country. And at the end of the summer, our contact there went to the HR manager and said, hey, can you give me some feedback on the Ladders for Leaders kids? And the HR manager said, well, who are those kids? Meaning that they've totally integrated completely within the program. You could not tell the difference between someone that maybe, on paper would sound maybe more qualified than our Ladders for Leaders students. So this program is really about giving opportunities and opening the door to our young people right here in New York City. And about 40% of our students last year were actually first-generation students. So they'll be the first in their families to attend college and probably on track to gain a professional internship or professional entry-level job. So just some quick facts and figures. Over 1,000 young people worked last year. We were thrilled to actually triple our number of tech sector placements to 203, and we're looking to expand that even more this year. We had over 191 internship sites across 16 industries. And we worked with some amazing companies. We worked with AOL, Pandora, Amalgamated Bank, a number of small tech startups. And we're just really excited about the opportunity to continue to grow the program. So how can an employer who's interested in working with a Ladders student work with us? They can actually provide an actual summer internship experience. They can donate funds to help support the program costs. Maybe they can't actually host somebody on site, but they can provide funding to support someone at a nonprofit or a city agency. Or they can offer in-kind donations or opportunities. They can actually come out and hold maybe mock interviews to help young people prepare for those interviews, or go through resume writing, for instance. And so, I talked a lot about the programs. You probably knew a lot about these programs, but what we really want to get across is that within your networks, if you know of any companies locally, especially with SYEP, this is a great opportunity for local businesses to connect with young people within their communities. It's at no cost to them with SYEP. The worksite application is actually online, but if they want to get more information, they can contact either myself or our new Director of Employer Engagement, Dulcie Andrade, who is back there. She recently joined the team, and we're very happy to work with employers, connecting them to community-based organizations that operate SYEP within their communities as well. So I think for this group, the SYEP might be the best fit. However, if you have other companies that you think might be interested in working with the Ladders for Leaders program, again, please reach out to us. We're more than happy to speak with them as well. And I would be remiss if I didn't recognize Greg Hambrick, who was who has always been a huge supporter of SYEP and Ladders for Leaders. And last year with Modell's, through his partnership, we were able to place a young person at all the stores within New York City and their distribution centers. And we're tremendously grateful for that opportunity. That would not have happened without his support. And all this to say, all of these years of building these private sector partnerships, it doesn't happen just by happenstance, cold calling. It really does depend on relationships. And you may know a lot of people who might have an interest, and just making that warm referral would be tremendously helpful, and we just appreciate your efforts, and if there's anything that we can do to help you in that process, we'd love to do that. And I actually have a small little video, if we have some time. You know, we can talk about these programs, we can do fancy brochures and presentations. There's nothing like highlighting young people, and this past summer we really did a lot around press to highlight the success of SYEP and Ladders for Leaders. And what we're going to show you now is a clipping from New York One and our internship and one intern
biology student, and she was
from the medical examiner's office.
Ellen Lay is a biology student, and she already has an impressive resume thanks to her summer job last year with the Office of the Chief Medical Examiner.
My main job responsibility was to digitize files into the computer system.
She got that job thanks to the Summer Youth Employment Program. And starting Monday, the program is accepting applications for thousands of diverse work sites, including government agencies, hospitals, summer camps, nonprofits, small businesses, law firms, museums, sports enterprises, and retail.
One of the options is the Ladders for Leaders program, which offers higher level internships for some of our participants or applicants who have a little more work experience.
For many, the summer jobs can lead to even greater opportunities. Jessica Seifarth was an intern years ago. Now she's a criminalist with the Office of the Chief Medical Examiner.
We love bringing in new interns because it allows us to engage with the community around us.
Last year, 130,000 people applied for 47,000 jobs. Here's what you need to know. The 2015 Summer Youth Employment Program will accept applications from Monday, March 2nd through Friday, April 10th. You must be between the ages of 14 and 24. Participants are selected by lottery for the program, which runs from July 6th through August 15th. There are job locations throughout all 5 boroughs. You can apply online at the Department of Youth and Community Development website at nyc.gov/DYCD or at a participating community-based organization. You can also call 311 or DYCD Youth Connect at 1-800-246-4646. And if you're an employer willing to provide a job, you have until Saturday, May 16th to apply. Cheryl Wills, New York One.
Okay, so that was all 2015 dates, so just want to clarify that. But just to give you a sense of the amazing young people, that's just one of 1,000 really impressive young people that we're able to serve every year. So I thank you ahead of time for your efforts. We've distributed some marketing materials. We're actually reprinting some SYEP palm cards, and I'll make sure when those come in from the vendor that I share with Joe, and he distributes to you as well. And if you have any questions, I'm happy.
Karen Neeson, really quickly. For a small business entrepreneur, what might be the requirements that they may need to meet in order to, is there like a level?
Sure, so they have to complete a worksite application. What we really just ask for is that there is a supervisor, there's supervision, and that there's a structure to the internship. We certainly want to ensure that our young person gets the most out of that internship opportunity, that they're not kind of left to do nothing, and that they're also assisting the company as well. We want it to be a mutually beneficial relationship. But the first step for an SYEP worksite or someone who would be a prospective worksite would be to complete the worksite application.
It's about that I am Manhattan. I have a question. How would be the best way, because you think this is for high school students, but for the school, the guidance counselors, which work with the kids preparing them when they're in the 9th grade for this field, this information would be ideal for them because it really is in the school. The kids would need this.
Absolutely.
Because a lot of kids that I've encountered, they have a lot of anxiety because they're in the 12th grade. some of them don't have any work experience. And these programs, I wouldn't see how we could make it that the schools would get this information and the guidance counselor work with the kids, because this is important.
Yes.
You know, because they are the future for tomorrow. And also that it would be accessible, like for the seniors, if they could do it like the whole year, because that's their last year and they're gonna go into the real world, and they should get a hands-on, because for me, hands-on is the best experience for, you know, how can we also, you know, get this out to the community, but really to the schools, because they really need to know this and that information, and then you'll get a better outcome, because the parents will see that there's something being done for their kids.
Absolutely.
And also for the disabilities.
Thank you for your question. Absolutely. Just so you know, our CBOs and also what we do at Workforce, whenever the application is going to be released, we do a blast out to the parent coordinators, to the guidance counselors, and this year we've done something special with the CTE schools. Our Ladders for Leaders application, I was remiss, I didn't mention, we actually launched that last week. We started the Ladders for Leaders application last week. And so CTE is going to help us in terms of really disseminating information out to the different schools and talking to the guidance counselors about really promoting the program, because to us it's like a natural fit, to your point. Absolutely, it's a captive audience, and we want as many young people to gain that opportunity as possible. I'm sorry, your second point.
Oh, the second point is, the second point was for the children also with disability, you know, how they can also fit into this program.
Absolutely. So the program is open to anyone within for Ladders for Leaders and for SYP, anyone can apply. For vulnerable youth, that particular option, that's a set aside. We work with particular agencies, ACS, Department of Probation, and Runaway and Homeless Services to identify young people to provide them opportunities throughout the summer. But we have a separate program called the In-School Youth Program. It's federally funded. And those students that go through the program year, the point of the program is to focus on at-risk juniors and seniors in high school, and to give them additional educational supports, career exploration programming, and the carrot for them to stay in the program throughout the course of the program year is a guaranteed summer internship. And one of the criteria to be part of the ISY program to be deemed eligible, one of the eligibility requirements could also be someone with a disability as well. So ISY is another option, and it's kind of a year-round program culminating in the summer internship piece. And then you also asked about year-round programming, and I wanted to just say that just this October we launched an initiative that was actually funded by the City Council, where we have 6,000 young people who were part of the Summer Youth Employment Program. They were eligible to apply to our new program called Work, Learn, and Grow. And they had the opportunity to work for 26 weeks from October to about middle of April. They work about 10 hours per week. So it's a way for us to continue that work experience from the summer throughout the course of the year. So we're hoping, we're seeing great success in the store. It's our first year running the program, and we're hoping to see that continue and grow.
Yes, that's important. Just a little bit, but not enough.
Hi, Tamika Robinson. I represent Region 1. I just have a quick question about Ladders for Leaders. I think you said that was an employer-paid program.
It is.
How have they determined the pay rate for the youths?
So we just asked that it be at least minimum wage. However, many of our employers pay above minimum wage. We even had some companies pay $16 to $20 an hour. So it's all set, all up to their discretion. But what we ask is overall, everyone be paid a minimum of $9 this year.
One more question?
Sure.
Also pertaining to the Ladders for Leaders program, you stated that the program is geared towards youth that have prior work experience. How do you track their work experience, and how is that a priority used? You know, is that a requirement for, it is a requirement, that prior experience, but how do the employers determine whether or not they're gonna choose, how do they select the student? That's what I
Sure.
really want.
So there's, I guess, two parts of the question. Firstly, to be eligible, you have to have had previous work experience. It could also be volunteer experience as well. And as part of the application process, they have to provide us with a resume, so we're able to actually see their experience. And then what we do when we work with employers is we get to know what their needs are in terms of maybe age range, interests, skills, background. We then do a match where we send resumes that we think would fit that criteria, but then we really encourage our employers to actually meet and interview the young person, so they can make a selection based on who they feel would be the best fit for their needs. So we do a little bit of selection up front, and the employer does their selection at the end.
Thank you.
Thank you, Daphne, for that presentation. This again, and this is, I'm passionate about SYEP and Ladders for Leaders as well. This is some information certainly we want to circulate via email, because the timing is important. The applications are going to be available in less than 2 months for SYEP. So if you have employer contacts and partners who you think can take advantage of this program, I think that's important. I've already committed to Daphne and Chris and Anthony Ng that I'm going to reach out to my network of people to really expand the private sector participation. We employed about 150 kids last year for SYEP. The Work, Learn, Grow program that she's referring to now, I have about 15 stores participating in that as well, and we have a history of participating in Ladders for Leaders. So if there's any real-world dialogue or feedback you want, feel free to reach out to me if it means that you're really showing some interest to either participate or have some people that participate in the program. Thank you, Daphne. Appreciate it. So we thank you. We know the meeting ran a little long with the presentations, but that happens sometime when you have some healthy conversation and some topics of importance. I want to recognize Susan Tannenbaum, am I pronouncing that correctly? She is here as a new alternate for the office of the Queensborough President, so we appreciate you coming here. You want a minute or so just to talk, to address the board right now? Oh, either way, we can bring the mic to you. Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, I want to begin by apologizing for being extremely late. Today was Borough President Katz's State of the Borough address, so we've all been on duty since 7:30 this morning, but I was determined to come to this meeting because I promised Joe. So I do apologize, but thank you for having me. I am Borough President Melinda Katz's Director of Immigrant and Intercultural Affairs. That's how I know Joe and others from DYCD. They come to our monthly Immigration Task Force meeting. I'm also constituent liaison to Community Boards 7 and 8. And my previous background is in community development. I worked for Jackson Heights Community Development Corporation for about 8 years. So I appreciate the work that everyone in this room does, and I have a lot to learn, but I'm interested in participating and having me here.
Thank you. Welcome. Thank you. We appreciate it. We look forward to your service here on the board. So I would entertain a motion to recognize Susan Tannenbaum as an alternate for the Queensborough president.
So moved.
Been properly moved by Gloria Benfield,
Second.
second by Karen Eason. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, abstentions, there being none, ayes have it, so moved. So now you can really work.
Thank you.
Okay, old business, any old business we need to discuss?
I want to reemphasize, please, to fill your vacancies. Melissa Ortiz, please, I want to reemphasize to just go back home and try to fill those vacancies.
Did we get a copy of the vacancies?
We're gonna send that out, so yes, you didn't get a copy, but we're gonna make sure that's emailed out, and we're gonna make sure it, as part of the package that, that would be noted as well. And one quick thing, it probably could have been part of my chairman's report, we also discussed board training, so we have a lot of new members coming to the board, and they really wanna know about board service and the functions of the board, so we are looking at the basic board training that's gonna take place. And Josie is gonna circulate some dates among, you're gonna circulate dates for your?
Yeah, we're gonna do basic board training in February, and then we're gonna do the Roma training, I think, in May as part of Melissa's committee, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
And then we're gonna do advanced training, what do we say, March? Yeah, you're gonna be getting a schedule, and then you can sign up to us.
So look for that, that's gonna be helpful, I think that'll further educate you certainly on board protocol, and certainly will help us to function more as a CAB, so look for that. Any new business? I'm sorry, yes, Tessa.
One other point on old business, Mr. Chair. At the last meeting, wasn't there some unfinished business with regard to Assistant Commissioner Mike Roberts' presentation that we were supposed to be wrapping up at this meeting?
Yes, and, okay. Go ahead. You want to? I'm glad you brought that up. There was an email that circulated prior to the announcement of the board with the attachments regarding Mike Roberts' presentation, that if there was any feedback or questions, if you had that, then you can bring forward and we can discuss that at the meeting. So based on your recommendation, it seems like we may need to circulate that email again, because that was a hefty presentation with a lot of detail that we really could not get into at the full board meeting. So we're gonna send that out again, and then if there's some discussion regarding that, we'll do that. Thanks for bringing that up, Tessa. Anything other new business? Okay, we had a full board meeting. It looks like it's gonna be a Netflix and DVD weekend, because we're all gonna be inside thanks to the snowstorm. So really, to you and your families, really be careful, be safe out there. And we look forward to you at the next meeting. I'll entertain a motion now to adjourn.
Okay, I'm just going to put a pitch in what we were just talking about, Tessa. In the back, before you leave, we have a couple extra copies of Mike's report, right?
Yes.
So if you want to pick up a hard copy, we got it in the back. Also, just please leave your name cards here. And if you would give a form at the beginning to fill out in any way, please don't go home with it. Okay, thanks.
And one last thing, the card for Vera Williams, I believe, is out there. If you haven't signed it, we'd like to get that to her, so we appreciate if everyone signs that, and we will keep you up to date on her condition. Great, so now, motion to entertain a motion now to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
Then moved by Melissa Ortiz, second by Gloria Benfield. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, abstaining, I wouldn't expect that. Be safe, have a great night, see you at the next meeting. Thank you.